Good morning, Ramen. I'm your host, Last Minute Che. I'm slowly going insane. We'll get to it. Corgi's not here. She may or may not have COVID, who's to say? She's been around people who have COVID. She's had some symptoms, but keeps testing negative. If she doesn't have it, it's almost guaranteed she will, probably, at some point. But at this point, if she has it, she definitely would have tested positive at some point. But regardless, she's been helping some people with some stuff, important stuff. Yeah, I'll briefly reference it in a bit more detail later in the episode. Anyway, today's episode is brought to you by rats. They bring plague. Also, sorry this is a little late. You just spend an hour just before bed doing a hobby thing, and then all of a sudden it's 2 a.m. and you have work at 7 the next morning, so you end up waking up at 6, but you famously sleep terribly, so you had a max of 2 hours sleep, but then you have to go to work, and you get back from work, and it's time to start your other work, writing this, and you realize even if you do finish writing this today, you don't have the mental or physical energy to record and edit because you exist at some point between the plane of reality and the realm of chaos where time has no true meaning and the most simple knowledge seems insurmountable and memory is at its best foggy, and then the next day you are tired but you have work, and then you have other work, and then you get a little bit done, and then the next day you still haven't entirely recovered from the day where you slept an hour and a half, so then you go, I'm going to have a nap, but you've forgotten that you have an appointment in the middle of the day, so you lie down to have a nap, and then your alarm goes off, and it's just like, surprise fucker, you got to go to your appointment, and then you're like, shit, my fucking appointment, so then you have to go to an appointment, and then you spend the entire rest of the day tired as fuck, taking your prescribed amphetamines and fucking drinking coffee, and that's the only thing that's keeping you awake, but you need to get this done. You need to get this done because it's already getting too late. It should have been done by Tuesday, but you didn't sleep on Tuesday. Well, you just sleep Monday. You just sleep on Monday, and then it was Tuesday, and you didn't get it done on Tuesday, and then you didn't have the time on Wednesday, so now it's Thursday, and it needs to get done by the end of Thursday, and now you're doing this. Yeah. Anyway, today's episode is about magic and the winds of magic and the forms it sort of takes. Been meaning to do this for a while. Been recommended at least twice, possibly by the same guy, possibly two different people. I don't remember. I remember who one of them is. It was Brutalite, but then I don't remember who the other person is. Anyway, this is going to be the fucking tone for the rest of the episode. Have fun. Anyway, as we touched on in previous episodes, magic comes from the realm of chaos. It didn't exist until the old ones started building their portal shit. Technically, at the time, it was the realm of ether. Look, it might be wrong, but my understanding is it's sort of a pocket dimension of the warp, kind of like a webway from 40k, which, created by the old ones, kind of the same old ones, kind of not. It's a thing. But magic is this sort of soft chaos taint that exists that very slowly creeped from the ether gates, and the elves and Slann and lizardmen learned how to control the little bit of magic that existed. Then the old ones disappeared, and the creatures that occupied the ether were finally able to break out of the gate and open the world of malice to the full unbridled force of the raw magic that is chaos. And this fundamentally altered the laws of reality. It was no longer bound to such nonsensical things as physics, chronological time, and coherent reason. In other words, shit got wacky. It wasn't until they closed the gates, sort of, did magic get a bit more tame, but still somewhat wild and unpredictable. We're skipping a bunch of history shit, but it's not that important to the point of the video. We're going to bypass the whole humans hating wizards thing and then getting around to liking them, but just noting it was there. No one really knows 100% how magic works, just that it does. Humans also think it comes from the ether, not the realm of chaos, unaware that they are in fact the same place. It's also stronger the further north and the weaker the further south, probably inverted sub-equatorially. Book doesn't make mention of it, but there is a chaos gate in the south. Antarctica exists and is full of beastmen that can't leave. But as magic enters the mortal world, it refracts into a rainbow of colors, 8 to be precise, and no one knows why. When the metaphysical concept of creation leaks into the world, it suddenly locks itself into a consistent law of reality. Just that it does. These are the winds of magic. Not actual winds, more like a concept. Sometimes magic is weaker. Sometimes it's stronger. And I don't mean like the more you move north, just in general. Other, possibly more accurate terms include etheric humor, paradigms of magic, and world dreaming, which I like the most. Reminds me of Dragon Age, where magic works by cutting the fabric of reality and allowing dreams to seep into the world, and then those attuned to magic can control the dreams and manipulate the real world. I like when magic has some sort of weird eldritch reason to exist rather than it just does. It's worth noting that not everyone can do magic / feel the existence of magic, and those that can only feel one color of magic, except elves and Slann. They can do all. It's sort of assumed by the high elves that really, with the exception of them and the Slann and possibly sort of the dwarves who can't use magic but also can, the old ones never intended of any of the other races to be able to use magic. It specifically says newer races and dwarves being very old, but they aren't explicitly created by the old ones, like elves and Slann. They just sort of, rocks came alive and they're angry. Everyone has a different description of what magic actually is / feels like. Some describing it more as a concept, others as a mood or vibration, flux or tide or spirits or forces. However, to those who are attuned to magic, as they grow in ability and experience with magic, they all begin to see the magic as a color, and these colors are consistent regardless of culture or race. The color is naturally attracted to its reality equivalent. Jade will be more prevalent in a forest than anywhere else. However, if too much magic is soaked into one area, it just becomes part of the realm of chaos and reality gets a little fucky-wucky, as they call it in the biz. Now, as for each color, those familiar with the 8 realms in Age of Sigmar might recognize the names. Firstly, we have Hysh, the White Wind, and Law of Light, the hardest wind to master. Hysh is light. It's also song. Because it's light, it's barely perceptible, only appearing as a lightly glowing haze. It floats in the sky above the world and settles in the deserts of Araby and Nekahara, pretty far from where most other magic make it, in any sort of useful sense. The ancient, not Egyptians, realized that it likes geometric shapes, and that's why they built all their pyramids and obelisks to successfully attract it. As I said, it's also song. It is attracted to music and other harmonious sounds, and when music is played, it has a calming effect on those around it, and it's attributed to Hysh. Even then, when the magic is used, they try to sing, as being light is a bit fickle and prone to leaving, whereas music will keep it attracted to the location. It exists magically in 3 forms. 1, illumination, be it bringing light to the dark areas or revealing lies, illusions, and sort of related to the second form, it can cast darkness from the mind. And on that note, the second form is it's mental health magic. It can be used to heal the mind, removing mental pain, darkness, to inspire or protect against terror and fear. For the record, not going to get into colleges, but there was a funny note that elves hate human mages because they don't know what the fuck they're doing. They do, however, like and respect, or just not hate, hard to say, human white wizards. Because they're like, nah, these guys have it pretty much figured out. They see it pretty much the same way we do, and that's chill. This is like 2 hours later, and I realized I forgot the third form. In there, it's exorcism, the purging of chaos, corruptions, and demons and shit. That's the third form. Bleh. Demons. Gone. Charmon, the Law of Metal, and the Gold Wind. To some, it's a yellowish tinge that is heavier towards the ground. People with second sight see a patina where Charmon was, and others, it's like golden snowfall and covers the things it's drawn to. Quote, like frosting on a cake. But hey, if there is a lot of it, it's good for alchemy. Them bitches love alchemy. Turning shit into other shit is their jam. The alchemist wizards are also covered in Charmon. Charmon turning wizards into other shit. Why not? They just look like statues sometimes with the amount of Charmon on them. Charmon is not just wealth and metal, but also transformation and purification. It is also believed to be the reason that gold incites violence and greed as a sort of chaos corruption that's never explicitly said or even implied, but it's pretty apparent that it fucks with wizards' heads to make them more greedy. That being said, one of the arcane marks of Charmon is, quote from the book, "Thieves! You suffer paranoia, convinced everyone is out to steal your money, gain prejudice to strangers." So, kinda does say it explicitly. Same thing, skipping all the shit about colleges. The Golden Colleges don't like the dwarves because they think they have an innate affinity to Charmon and are hiding their secrets. And the dwarves don't like them because they think they want to steal their gold. Ghyran, the Jade Wind and the Law of Life. This one, pretty self-evident. Moving with the seasons at its strength in spring and summer and its weakest in winter, Ghyran functions like a rain falling from the sky onto the ground, which then forms pools of magic that flow like a stream, bringing life and nourishment to the plants around it. It's mostly attracted to water rather than life, but as all life requires water, it's pretty present in them, existing where water is. In fact, you're 80% Ghyran right now. Sea is obviously fucking full of Ghyran. You can drink the sea and become more Ghyran than anyone has ever been before. It kind of has its two tastes. It likes a meticulously designed area like a garden or a farm, and it likes the wild, overgrown nature where it's hard for humans to live sort of thing. Think less like wild forests of England and more like the fucking Amazon. It's green as fuck. I don't know why my energy is different for Ghyran. I have a headache. I had a headache when I wrote that. Who the fuck knows? Whatever. Who gives a shit? It's bright green. Quote, where growth and wealth are at their where growth and health are at their most vital. Except I didn't write vital. I wrote vital. It's jade around growth and chartreuse. Not a real color. Fuck off with that. Chartreuse around newborn animals. Old growth is deep emerald, and where life is diseased or in decline, it's a sad, dark, muddy green. Simply put, where there is life, there is Ghyran, and where there is death, there is Ghyran. It explodes from the body at the moment of death. I told you were 80% Ghyran. If you were energetic and youthful in life, you explode into an even bigger Ghyran. Wizards refuse to talk about whether or not their magic works better if they have blood sacrifices, and they definitely don't have dead bodies under their gardens. Same, a pigeon definitely didn't die by slamming headfirst into my window, and if it did, I definitely put it in the bin and didn't throw it into my garden to be consumed by the flowers that feed my bees. Sup, motherfuck, it's Azir, the blue wind and law of heavens. Azir floats to the sky where it becomes a layer of blue clouds which distort the stars, which can then be used to predict the future based on the distortion. Imagine for a second, you haven't really worked out the wizard thing right yet, and you and your homies are looking at all the stars and staring at the sky, and one dude's just describing a fundamentally different sky to the rest of you, and he's like, don't know how I know, but Beijing is going to explode tomorrow and kill the emperor's heir and bring about the destruction of the Ming dynasty. And you're just like, bro, it is fucking May 29th, 1626. The fuck is a Beijing or emperor of Ming? What the fuck? What? Here, try some rot shark. We kill an insanely long-lived shark and let it rot underground till it's no longer poison. Azir does blow through the world and can form storms. It's like actual storms, not storms of magic. The magic growing in strength as the storm grows. Spells can even be used in these storms to just yoink meteorites and comets out of space. I feel like if Corgi was here for this episode, she would definitely ask me if I was okay. Again, the answer is no, I'm so tired. The ability to understand what the fuck Azir is doing does depend on celestial alignment. So, you got that going for you. They say Heish is the hardest magic to control, but man, it does sound like it's Azir. It's in the sky, and is mostly dependent on celestial bodies to do its magic, except sometimes it's a storm. It's only really easily accessible if you're on the top of the mountain, so have fun with that, I guess. Fuck you. I would imagine there are many wizards who are born with the ability to perceive and control Azir, and simply never know. I don't know, man. I might be a wizard. Sometimes I look into the sky and it's blue. The spells are also maths. That's fun. You want to cast a fucking Azir magic? You gotta recite mathematical formula. Heish get to sing. You get to recite a thesis on why pi is the numbers it is. Here's a quote. While the complexity of Heish demands discipline and patience, Azir challenges the intellect, requiring precision and the quick mind of the Magister. Should they succeed, the law of heavens grants dominion over the elements of air, but most astromancers crave the power of foresight and portents, whether to change fate or bring it about. Yeah, because that's totally harder to be patient than it is to not be a fucking idiot. I'm going to find whoever decided Heish was harder and make them stand in the sun and sing a song. And then I'm going to spray them with a high pressure water hose on a mountain and make them do algebra. Fuck you. Also, the Law of Heavens has a lightning spell called Tesla's Arc. Fuck off. I told you we're bringing on energy. The Grey Wind, the Law of Shadows, Ulgu. Now, I'm writing this before I finish this entry in the book, but Ulgu is Grey Wizards, and it's trickster magic. Now, if I see a spell referencing Odin, I'm going to be very cross. Hey, Future Che, how's it going? Well, Future Che here, we're fine. Azir does have a spell, however, referencing Thor, so adding that to the list of why Azir fucking sucks. It's called Thorson's Thunderstorm, by the way. Would Ulgu be anything other than a fog? Of course not. It frequently exists alongside real, non-magical mists, but no one is 100% on whether it generates the mist itself or it's attracted to the mist. Much like a movie I saw one time, there are sometimes things in the mist. Maybe. People see them and can't figure out if they're real or not. They were real in the movie. Ulgu just kind of appears where you expect mist to be. Early mornings before sunrise, dark forests, swamps, which I can attest to as someone who lives in a city that is 90% swamp and floodplains. Why did anyone live here? Our river is poisoned and full of sharks. You will die if you try to swim in that river. Look at this picture. Look at this picture. This is a baby that was pulled from the river. Also, I was looking at property the other day for shits and gigs, and there was a property on sale for over $1 million, and it was a swamp and a broken down house. Cool, sure. I feel like I'm descending into madness. Also, Ulgu is in alleyways. You know, the famous dark alleyways where the tops of buildings touch to block out the sky, like Gotham City. We have a building that everyone just calls the Batman building. I went there once when I was like 5 and asked to see Batman, but the receptionist told me he was out fighting crime and had let Batman know that I stopped by. To 5-year-old me, this made a lot of sense. I once was talking to a Finnish immigrant, and he asked me, hey, don't want to sound weird, but does that building look kind of like it's from Gotham? And I was like, what, the Batman building? The building that if you Google Batman building, it links to the Wikipedia article for that building? That building? This is what happens when Corgi is away for a week. I've talked to, we've talked on messages, but I have talked to her on recording once. On fucking Monday. We played like an hour of Marvel Rivals, and that was it. I think the time before that was Thursday? Was the last time I talked to her? No. I talked to her on Saturday. Saturday was the last time I talked to Corgi, and we played like an hour of Marvel Rivals, and then she fucking went to sleep, and then she fucking left again to go to the fucking city. A city that is referenced in a fucking Rick and Morty joke. It's in my fucking brain now. Whenever I hear that city, I think of the fucking Rick and Morty joke. Anyway, fucking, I hit an energy during Ghyran when I was writing this, and we are writing it to the end, baby. And I finished this fucking script, and I immediately started recording. So this energy has kept going the entire fucking time. Fucking Ulgu. It's naturally attracted to places of deceit and lies. So, you know, government buildings. That's not even a joke. It literally says imperial palaces where politicians plot and make shady deals. Merchant houses, con men, that sort of thing. If you see Ulgu, I can fucking write. I'm an amazing writer. If you see Ulgu and you see it, you probably aren't in a safe place. It's actually a bad sign. Point is, if you can see, like, the ability, if you're a wizard and you can see Ulgu and then you actually see Ulgu, don't be where you are. That's bad. Don't leave. Go. You shouldn't be here. You can even use Ulgu to just erase everyone's knowledge of your existence. There's a species called a Femir whose leader, uses Ulgu to make sure people don't know they exist in the swamps. And people just kind of vaguely maybe think they might possibly exist. Who's to say? Just stay out of the swamps. The Skaven, also very Ulgu-centric, constantly fucking around. But no one knows they exist because Ulgu stops people from knowing they're real. Like the Femir. There is a sort of cultural memory, but it's a fairy tale and not to be treated as real. There is no such thing as a rat man. Now, allegedly, the Skaven do a yearly ritual, but also that might just be Ulgu lying and making the people that know the Skaven exist think the Skaven do a yearly ritual, and that's why no one remembers them. Also, the Grey Order wizards help the Skaven because they want the Skaven to think they're allies, so they can spy on the Skaven easier to report what the Skaven are doing to the proper authorities. They also want to find out more about the Skaven pulling a Doctor Strange and making everyone forget they exist every year. Finally, quote, then again, perhaps such creatures do not exist at all. Fuck. I just spilled so much water on my desk. Shit. All my post-it notes are wet. Okay, it's been 5 minutes. I'm back. There was a Ghyran attack. We handled it. I have a new glass of water that's I'm going to not knock over this time. My post-it notes are on the floor drying. And it's 11 p.m. My wife is asleep. I am sitting in a room alone, cleaning water, going mad, reading a script about magic. I don't even fucking remember what I was talking about. Finally, quote, then again, perhaps such creatures do not exist at all. Olgu, merely fooling the enlightened into thinking that they do. Which is correct. As I said, there is no such thing as a rat man. We here at Good Morning Regular Men take such rat man accusations very seriously. Shaish! The Amethyst Wind and the Law of Death. Now, I think Shaish should have been the realm of shadows and hiding because it's shy-ish, but that's just me. And I'm frankly surprised the guys behind Tesla Arc didn't think the same. Creatively bankrupt, I say. Now, Shaish is transition, time, and memory. It's also death, but the people who practice it don't like it when you mention that part. Practitioners want to study the transition of life stages and its inevitable death. Not me though. I'll live forever. I'm going to quote this part. Most Amethyst Magisters see Shaish not as a blowing wind of color, but dark purple fragments of corpse shroud drifting on a slow-moving breeze in a desultory, melancholy manner. Some say that as they watch from the windows of the college, they see these patches of Shaish brush up against a person or a building, flowing over and enveloping them in a purplish glimmer that only the Magister can see. As the wizard watches, they glimpse the aging and decaying of the subject, the inevitable fate the future holds for all. The one good thing about going mad at night is apparently I read the script better. I have flubbed significantly less than I would have if I was properly prepared to read this and in a mental state where I'm not going to lose my mind and haven't been losing my mind the past 5 days. Shaish is also just pretty hard to see. It's non-chronological and flows through the time stream, appearing in the past, present, and future, and can allow magic users to briefly see glimpses of the past. That being said, can be found where dead people are, graves and battles and the like. It's also in ruins, dead buildings, where there was once civilization. Shaish also makes people sad. You ever just get hit with the depression magic? As an aside, here's a quote. Many speculate about the nature of the Amethyst College, but facts are few. Some dismiss the stories as wild tales children use to scare each other. Others suspect something else, that concentrated Shaish may take the building and its inhabitants out of phase with the material world, leaving behind a husk. The idea that the purple wind itself could be sentient and know the intentions of others is a thought few like to consider. Okay, sentient death magic. Neat. That's disconcerting. Almost disconcerting is the fact that purple wizards can also be affected by Shaish that makes them stink like a corpse and attracts scavenger birds. And if they crit fail a roll, they get attacked by even larger birds. Just imagine for a second, you're in the woods trying to identify a berry and you get it so wrong that a large eagle comes and attacks you. Akshi! Everything is hot all the time. The red wind, the law of fire. Now Akshi is attracted to, and this might be a wild plot twist, fire. Whether it be hearthfire, campfire, volcano, or the fire that rages inside you, Akshi will go there. It can also make you smell like burnt toast. Strong emotions of passion or anger, or both, will attract Akshi towards you. Apparently, cooked food is also Akshi, which explains the toast thing, appearing as a red, hazy shimmer that creates an almost mirage-like blur. The thing you see in movies, or your average day in Australia. Literally saw some Akshi today when I was driving down a straight road. Wasn't even that hot, 27 degrees. Sometimes, if I leave my car in the sun for 30 minutes, it melts all the dirt that builds up on my steering wheel over the winter. And then I just put my hands on it, the wheel, and it gets covered in melted dirt. Because I dared park my car in the sun. This happened to me yesterday. Also, my steering wheel was wet. I don't know why. You know what? Fuck Akshy. Akshy sucks. I was once driving down the road in the suburbs and there was a tree on fire in the nature strip, middle of the road, just fucking tree on fire. When you start manipulating Akshy, it turns white hot. And then it becomes dancing flames. And basically, as the spell is cast, it's like a mini explosion goes off. The area of the spell effect might become scorched. There are sparks and smoke around the wizard, and it becomes hard to breathe as the air dries out, and a strong smell of burning can be smelt. Again, like an average Australian day, like this is only a slightly comedic exaggeration. In summer, you can step outside and it immediately hurts, like physically hurts. You can feel the sun burning you. It's too dry and breathing hurts, and something somewhere is on fire, and you can smell burning eucalyptus, and vision is a little hazy because it's 32 degrees with a UV of 14, which I would like to remind you is usually a scale of 1 to 10, and something somewhere is on fire. Akshy is commonly associated with violence and aggression, and it's commonly used very effectively in war. But it doesn't have to be all bad. You can use it to comfort people and use the burning part to cauterize wounds, which is kind of bad, but like it's healing, but yeah. You can also kind of run the risk of just losing yourself to blind rage in battle. It may note that wizards try very hard to walk a line of controlled fury. You can just make people hate each other, cast a fuck you spell, and two people hate each other for a while. Like, it could be literal weeks. Lastly, Ghur, the Amber Wind, the lore of beasts. Ghur does not really exist where civilization does. It's mostly in wild places, the furthest from people it can find. It favors apex predators and great beasts, moving with them in their migration, burrowed in their dens and in their bodies, can even be used to mark their territory. Amber wizards will dress themselves in bones, fur, and feathers, which attract Ghur. Just trick the magic into thinking you're an animal. The wizards and the animals are sort of attracted to each other, so they end up living in close proximity, giving the Amber wizards easy access to magic, as well as building totems of dead creatures to attract Ghur. The color of the Amber Wind is brown, but like an indescribable brown. Just slightly different amber to brown variations. It's literally described as a, quote, muddy, unnameable color. It notes that where all the other colors are bright, Ghur is brown. Where it harshly blows, it's more yellow in tinge, hence the amber. And where it's entrenched, it's a deep earthy brown. When it's being manipulated, there are wisps of red and orange in the, quote, cold browns. It can also just make you permanently dirty. Amber wizards also just fucking hate Altdorf. Altdorf specifically repels Ghur, and no one is 100% sure why. Look, there was not much about Ghur. And that's it for the Winds of Magic. I probably fucked this up somewhere along the line. Was it when I ranted about the Brisbane River? Probably yes. I'm so tired. This was very last minute. I really didn't want another week where we didn't have an episode. Even now it's 10 p.m. Friday. That's when I finished the script. It's now 11. Yeah. Recording was about 40 minutes. I spoke very fast. This would have been an hour if I didn't speak very fast. Now I have to go fucking edit this video, and then I need to make the thumbnail, and then I need to upload it. So I will get this out. But by the time it's probably technically going to be Friday morning by the time that it does go out. A lot went wrong. I was aggravatingly busy, but I did have fun writing and researching this, and I can always revisit and correct things I fucked up, which almost certainly I did, and add to when I cover Wizards proper. I can probably even do a mini-series of each individual college, one a day or some shit, which I just checked was suggested to me. I saw that comment, forgot about it, went, man, I have a great original thought, and then I wrote it, and then I went, what did the Brutalite say about the thing? And then he was like, you can do a mini-series where you cover each individual college. I'm like, fuck! That's what I just thought I had that idea. Anyway, point is, I will revisit this when I have more time to get even deeper. Again, sorry, we've been absent a bit. Just started to get into a clean run where we could get a good release schedule, and then just fucking like punched us in the face. Corgi said if everything goes well, she should be back in her hometown from Friday. As I said, she's been leaving for a city a few hours away every day and returning at night. So hopefully, Gloomspite next week. Speaking of which, because we got delayed, I just kept writing the Gloomspite episode. It was going to be 2 parts. Now it's not. It will flow better, but it's definitely going to be very long. The average script is about 7 pages long, 4,000 words to 4,500 words. The Gloomspite, which isn't finished yet, because I had to stop to do this episode, is currently 11 pages and 6,800 words. It's going to be a fucking long video. So that's going to be fun. Look out for that one. I'm going to really enjoy editing that. That's going to be a great time for me, having to edit that, which will be like 2.5 hours long. But because we suck, it's going to be like a 3-hour recording. Cool! Anyway, see ya. Hopefully next week. Corgi has mostly finished a comic, so even if we don't get the episode out next week, which I should hope we do, because hopefully Corgi's home, I could probably get a comic out if we don't. It's like, it just needs to be colored, but I think she's already done some of the coloring. The comic's finished. Just needs coloring. Anyway, goodbye. See you. Bye. Bye. Because I say bye, and then Corgi says bye, and then I say bye a second time. I always do that. So, bye. It's me, Corgi. Bye. Bye. Fuck.